Alright, so here's how I made this super delicious chicken sandwich. I started off by making some buttermilk. I poured 1.5 cups of milk into a bowl and added a tablespoon of vinegar. I stirred it up and let it sit, and after 10 minutes, buttermilk. I then added a tablespoon of salt and stirred until it was completely dissolved. I then tossed in my boneless chicken thighs. I decided to leave the skin on because these babies were flimsy and I needed all the meat I could get. I covered it with plastic wrap and left it to brine for 3 hours. After 2 hours, I ran out of patience and decided to cut the brining process short. Don't judge me, I was starving. I poured about half a cup of the brine into another bowl, cracked an egg in, and mixed to form the binding liquid. And onto the dredge. To a baking tray, I added 1 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, a tablespoon of MSG. You don't really have to add it, but if you have it, toss it in. A tablespoon of paprika, a tablespoon of cayenne powder, add more or less depending on how spicy you want it to be, a tablespoon of onion powder, a tablespoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, and thoroughly mix. I then poured in a bit of that binding liquid and mix. This is to help get those super satisfying flaky bits on the chicken. Straight from the brine, I tossed the chicken in the dredge. Made sure it was completely coated, then dipped it into the binding liquid and back into the dredge for a second coat. I made sure to pat and flip it around so the dredge could get into the nooks and crannies. I gave it a little wiggle to shake off the flour and put it on the side for about 5 minutes. While the chicken was on the side waiting to be baptized in hot oil, I decided to make the sauce. I minced up 2 cloves of garlic. I sprinkled over a little bit of salt to help with the mincing. I then added 4 tablespoons of mayonnaise to a small bowl, a tablespoon of mustard, the minced garlic, half a teaspoon of black pepper, a tablespoon of lemon juice, and mix. And on to the frying. I filled my wok up with enough oil for deep frying. I turned on the heat and tested if it was hot enough by dipping a wooden spoon in, and it was because the wooden spoon bubbled up. I then gently dipped in my chicken. I let it fry up, then tossed it a couple of times as it was frying. And after 7 minutes, it was golden brown and good to go. Next, I cut my bun in half, smeared some butter on both the bottom and the top bun. Then I toasted them in a pan. To assemble, I smeared a generous amount of that mayo sauce on the bottom bun. I put some lettuce on, the chicken thigh, pickles, tomatoes, more of that mayo sauce on the top bun, and done. Alright, let's talk about that chicken. The inside was juicy still, the outside was crunchy, and the coating was mad flavorful. The sauce had a nice tanginess and sweetness to it. The bun was a little dry, but that's on me because it was like 5 days old.